Got something a little bit different today. So I have obviously done a lot of different shell exchanges in the past for things like Joy-Cons, Pro Controllers. I've done a little bit with the Xbox One controller as well, but today we're gonna be doing some modifications on a DualSense. Now I got this kit sent out from Extreme Rate, which replaces the front panel here, which to my knowledge is one of the easier things you can swap out. I've seen a couple people do things with these, but I also have things for the front-facing buttons, D-pad, shoulders, and even the touchpad, which honestly, I'm not actually sure if I'm gonna follow through on this one. I kinda like the look of maybe more white with red. We're gonna check it out. It's always weird with these kind of things because they just pop out, but you always feel like you might break something. Okay, so there's that part. Okay, well I got the shoulder button off, and it's a good thing I'm planning to replace it. I've done a couple different shell exchanges and they always come with like a little pamphlet that's just like, oh, here's the tutorial on how to do this. And a lot of them are really bad. And the one that came with this one was actually pretty informative. The really fun part about doing this mod is seeing if I can take this all apart properly, put it back together properly, and if the controller still works. Smash my thumb a little bit. Huh. There we go. So if you couldn't tell by now, if you just want to swap the front plate, that's not that bad. Doing the buttons and the shoulders and everything else, that's where all this little extra effort's coming in right now. Nope. Oh, that part finally came out. So lift. Yep, that wasn't too bad. This part should be pretty straightforward, I think. And what's nice about a lot of button exchanges is that they're actually designed to have these little tabs on the side so you know exactly which slot they fit into. Okay. Oh, wait, nope. I already like the look of that so far. All right, guys, moment of truth. Do we go for the red touchpad or do we leave it white? Because we have to decide now, basically. Which way do I go? Which way do I go? And if I brick my touchpad, well, you know. But, oh, yep, that just came right off. I don't know about this, guys. Oh, it's all coming apart. Everything's there. I fully accept the risk that I might break this controller, but I'm still gonna take calculated ones if I can. I think I did that right. All right, and then I think we're good to just reattach these to the controller. Guess we didn't feed another cable right at the last second. Am I gonna have to redo some of these? No, come on, get out. I can get you out. I can do it. Yes! Okay. It's back together. I think it looks pretty cool. Let's see if it still works. So this is actually 1 week later because I got sidetracked shooting some other videos. I have not tried this controller out yet since doing that exchange, so let's see if it actually worked. This one was previously synced to this PS5, so it should just immediately work. Lights turn on, it has power. Hey, okay, good start, good start. So far, I mean, D-pad and at least the X button are working. What I'm really most worried about while we're waiting for the game to boot up very quickly is the adaptive triggers, because that's something that I've never really taken apart before and messed with. And not that I did anything crazy with it, I just don't know if simply by doing that, it's not really as tight as it should be. So I'm really worried that could be messed up. I feel pretty good about the touchpad, especially because I didn't end up peeling that board off. I think if we did do that, that would be one of my prime worries as well, but I decided to play it safe. Also rumble, just because I feel like anytime you have rumble motors, putting back a controller, it doesn't sit quite right the same it would have off the production line. Okay, so the triggers feel pretty good. I am getting that resistance that you're supposed to have in this with the adaptive triggers. Give that touchpad a go. Yeah. Something this game does a really great job of helping you check right away too is a combination of the haptic feedback and the speaker, because they play together to really give you the sense of walking on different textures. So the metal versus the kind of concrete or plastic, and then glass. Yeah, sounds good, feels good. So this is a good stage for checking out the adaptive triggers and motion controls because you're using both of those. Yeah, haptics feel good. Okay, so I feel good about how I put together the rumbles. That's good. Yeah, I know how to, am I missing something? Was I supposed to, what am I forgetting right now? Is a button not working? shooting some B-roll real quick and I realized what the issue is. I thought something felt a little off and I didn't fully check until just now. I definitely messed up putting the trigger together because while the adaptive triggers and everything feel right, it doesn't actually press down all the way. You can even compare it to this other one, goes all the way to where this little lip is hitting the end and this one isn't. So I did make a mistake reassembling this and I'm gonna take it back apart and fix that right away because that appears to be what the issue is. Funny enough, it doesn't seem to matter for a lot of games. They don't need you to always do a full press, but there's just a few specific situations where that's coming up. Okay, so I just finished taking the controller apart again and putting it back together, and I did two main things. First off, I fixed the triggers. I figured out what I did wrong. There's a little shell casing that covers the top of the turning wheel inside the mechanism, and I had it just a little bit too far to the left so that it was stopping the trigger from pulling all the way, which it now does. So it's fully functional and presses properly like it should. So if you decide to do this yourself, make sure you double check that and put that plate on correctly. I definitely rushed through on that part. Second, and probably a more obvious change, is I went ahead and did do the touchpad replacement. Now this honestly was probably the scariest thing to do. I really hate any situation that involves having to warm up glue and very quickly move from one object to another, which is exactly what you had to do. I took a heat gun to the touchpad for 30 seconds and then very carefully pried it off. You don't want to give too much force because if you bend the touchpad, that's a big problem. Now, while I'm not really focusing on the tutorial aspect of this, one thing I do want to note is that it really helps if you use a fresh pry tool, especially ones they ship with you when doing this, because you want to make sure it's as sharp as possible at the edge to really get under there and pry the glue off, and then quickly move it over to the new one. And to make sure that worked out perfectly fine, we've got Esther's Playroom back open, and awesome, worked out great. I'm gonna be honest, I actually think I liked how this controller looked more when I had the white one. I definitely think there are some color choices that could look cool here, but for me personally, I think doing this white and red aesthetic, the touchpad looked better that way, so I'm probably gonna redo it. But if you're interested in swapping out the touchpad, just know that it takes a little bit of extra work and you definitely wanna be extra careful with it because you do not wanna warp that touchpad. Aside from that, I did double check everything else once putting this controller back together. All the buttons still work, motion controls are great. So overall, I was able to take this apart twice and put it back together with everything now being fully functional after fixing a couple mistakes. If you've done any kind of shell exchange before, like say for Joy-Cons, this is honestly, I think, an overall easier process. And if you've never done any kind of shell exchange before, this one really isn't as bad as some other ones out there. There are a lot of steps and you definitely need to be careful, but one of the things that really helps make this a little easier is a lot of the parts are a lot larger and more durable. With Joy-Cons, there's a lot of very fine pieces that you can be worried about accidentally snapping or doing something incorrectly, and it's very precise about how you reconstruct it. It absolutely looks daunting to do, and it is important to take your time and be patient and be careful, but ultimately it really isn't that bad. The only part of it that I would maybe give just a little bit of extra caution is, again, that touchpad, because is again this touchpad, because you don't want to bend it, you don't want to mess it up, and unlike all the other parts you're dealing with, you do have to have an additional tool on hand, which is either a hairdryer or a heat gun in order to get that glue nice and pliable. All that being said, I'm really happy with how this turned out. I'm a big fan of the color red, and so right now with the PlayStation DualSense only coming in a white and black model and nothing else, it's really cool that you can actually take these steps to get a color you prefer. And I've actually been on this really big red and white kick lately, so I'm actually really happy keeping the main white body of the DualSense and just adding all this red to make it really pop. And now I have a full set of red controllers for next gen, which is awesome. Now, Extreme Rate did send this out to me to check out, and I'm really happy with how it turned out. If you guys are interested in grabbing it, I will put a link down below in the description of their website so you can check out all the different colors and other things they have and decide if you want to go through with trying it out. Also, I know this video didn't necessarily go all out on showing you all the steps of taking it apart and putting it back together. They have their own tutorial videos that really walk you through it a lot more slowly, and in my opinion are actually some of the better done ones that I've seen before, because some shell exchange videos really glance over some important parts. And with this done, I think the next step is to maybe start messing with how the PS5 itself looks. So if you want to check that out and see some other stuff I'm going to be working on in the future, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out, and I'll see you guys later.